Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Wrath If story, so go watch part 1 if you missed it. So far, Subaru has attacked the mansion in order to get Amelia. Jumping ahead an unknown amount of time, we find out what Subaru has been up to. He is the leader of an underground crime organization that he named Pleiades. He's a mob boss. Pleiades is a small group, and we don't know a whole lot about them besides for the ones that have already been introduced. But supposedly they are the best of the best. Subaru is making a lot of money, and he is paying them a lot of money to be there. Subaru is using the old isekai strat of inventing things that are in our world that aren't in this world. And we've seen it in lots of other shows, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Subaru is making a lot of money off of these ideas and then using that money to hire muscle, which then ends up making him more money. Their headquarters is called Pandemonium and is located in Kararagi by the border. Now, we don't know exactly where this is, but I'm going to go ahead and retrace the border here like I do every time with my amazing tracing skills. It's close enough. It doesn't matter that much. So this would be Kararagi. What we know is that it's by the border and it is to the east. So my guess, let me change to a different color here. My guess is that it's in the mountains. Don't ask me why, but for some reason I think it is. So I would guess either up here or maybe down here. But again, that is just a straight up guess. All we really know is that it's somewhere along this border. Subaru, the easiest way to describe it is that he's Two-Face from Batman without the burn scars. There's a proverb where I used to live. Something like, a drowning man will even clutch at straws. An older man, around 60, has his head to the ground as he listens. I couldn't find this guy anywhere else. He seems to just show up here, so I think he's just a random merchant. In a room resembling a throne room, lined by mercenaries that could kill at any moment. On the throne, the leader continues to speak. To put it plainly, dying humans will desperately try to survive no matter what. That's the meaning of the proverb. They're still thinking of turning their fortunes, but to grasp at straws is just a stupid idea. The old man struggles to breathe. One misstep could mean his death. The Purge King, looking down on him, seems to be speaking nonsense. At his side, Hollybell and Cecilus. The old man can't grasp the situation, and his head is spinning. It was a mistake to come here. Seagram? Ah, for making you bored, I apologize. Having my stories get off topic's a bad habit of mine since long ago, and if I talk in this roundabout way, we may never get to the point. I'm sorry, that is, I'm talking. Subaru holds up a finger to his lips, and the old man forgets to breathe. Sorry, I didn't mean to threaten you. It's just that these two people here and those others present all follow me because I hired them. But that's not your case, is it? So then, how should I say this? I acted in a manner I'm used to. Sorry. He felt possessed by fear, like drowning, just as the Purge King had said. I'm fond of reasonable people. People who are willing to talk are much more trustworthy than those who just punch you in the face out of nowhere. I don't know what sort of nefarious rumors you've heard of us, but I want to request that you not judge us according to those. I prefer to avoid making waves if possible. With a display of surrender, Subaru allows Singram to speak. With a literal breath of fresh air, the old man is finally able to calm down enough to actually speak. My apologies. In regard to my side, it is as stated in the offer letter. I wish for a good relationship with the members of your organization. Let's have a nice partnership, Singram. The details will be discussed with the person in charge later on. This was the best and wisest choice for you. Thank you very much. With business concluded, he bows and turns to leave. A small, clinking sound comes from behind him. Tails. Singram starts to turn around as his severed head hits the ground. Like I said, Two-Face. Though not quite the same, he still struggles with seeing dead bodies. Like when this random merchant gets killed right in front of him, he about throws up, even though he was the one that ordered it. Subaru uses psychological warfare a lot. Like whenever he meets with new people, they meet in the throne room where the trap has already been set. By this point, everyone knows his reputation, so the stress levels start to rise before anything has even happened. In the throne room, there are, I don't know, a few dozen mercenaries, and they have been conditioned by Subaru to be ready to kill at a moment's notice. So Subaru just has to pause for too long, and all of a sudden they're reaching for their swords. Subaru sets the stage so that there is constant fear and stress. And I'm not completely sure that if he's doing it on purpose or not, but he is basically making it so that the visitors are feeling the same level of stress that he is feeling. In this timeline, he went from being tortured to death by Rem to being hunted down by Ram, and that completely shaped his views. He is paranoid and constantly stressed out because of it. I think because of that, he is far more willing to use people to accomplish his goals, or just straight up kill them. When he's asked about why he killed the merchant, he says, "Even if it does not seem like they're lying, liars are going to lie." He assumes that most people are lying to him and is perfectly okay with removing them from the picture. He does have a little ritual that he does afterwards, though. Subaru holds his shoulders and digs his fingers into his skin until they bleed. That self-harm was, to him, a necessary ritual to retain himself. Just like someone else from this series, he hurts himself to stay sane. He doesn't want to grow numb to the killing. And it might also be that he's punishing himself for killing people. He's done this so much that no one even bats an eye. I mean, most people in the room aren't even paying attention to him. And when he's done, he gives out orders and we start to see why he has his nickname. The corpse. Make it neat and bury it. An invoice to be sent to their shop. Everything's to be confiscated. If they follow along, do not treat them poorly. If they refuse, then purge the family and burn the store. So if Subaru kills someone, he then goes and steals all their stuff. And if the family doesn't like it, then they die too. This is another reason that he's gotten so much money and the reason why he has such a bad reputation. I'm not sure if this is exclusive to just the people that lose the coin toss. If I had to take a guess, he probably treats everyone pretty close to this, but there's not really a whole lot of examples in the story, so it's kind of hard to tell. This goes back to him not trusting anybody. If they're an enemy, then they die. Everyone else will obey by force. And this isn't exclusive to people outside of the mob. Hollybell put Subaru's coat on him because he forgot it, and Subaru is so paranoid that he debated on killing Hollybell, simply because Hollybell was standing behind him. At that moment, his highest officer was seen as a threat. Obviously, Subaru is not the one doing the killing. He would be ordering other people to do it. And the only reason he doesn't do it here is because of how much damage it would do to Pleiades. The group would lose a big asset, and probably more from trying to take him down. The same applies to Cecilus. And he actually makes a remark here, and I'm just going to quote it. "Those dark circles are quite severe. Maybe you should sleep softly next to the princess for a while." You can guess who that is. It actually pisses Subaru off, and everyone else in the throne room stops and waits to see if Subaru orders the kill. He doesn't end up doing it for the same reason he doesn't kill Hollybell. But the point is that even 2 of the top 4 strongest people in the world aren't exempt from this. It is completely possible that Subaru's paranoia takes over and that he orders everyone else to try to kill one of them. Or try to. So after all this, Subaru goes to see the princess. Subaru and Hollybell go to the center of the building and they find a door that's covered in locks. I think there's like 50 locks that are all on the door, and none of the keys actually exist. Puck. A cat materializes, floating in front of them. "Yo, you're here again after quite a while. Is Leah the reason you came?" "The door. Open it." "Hmm? What's with that tone? If you spoil the father's mood, he might not let you see his daughter, you know." Puck. The spirit notices the deep, dark circles around Subaru's eyes. "You endured it until you couldn't anymore, didn't you? It can't be helped. That effort of yours is commendable, so I'll let it slide just this once." The locks suddenly fill with keys made of ice. This door is designed so that Puck is the only one that can open it, and even if someone else were able to get it open, there's an extra alarm that will alert Puck, Subaru, and Hollybell. Because again, Subaru is paranoid. Alright, let's go over how we got here. So the second arc starts. Subaru dies a few times. The last time, Rem catches him outside and tortures him. He wakes up and then does nothing in the mansion, followed by Rem dying from the curse. Subaru runs away without explaining anything. Ram chases after him and they have their final showdown. And then Subaru starts his own mob. Since Subaru doesn't stop the Witch Beast attack on the village, a bunch of people die. And we don't get an exact explanation, but between Subaru running away, Ram running away, Rem dying, and a bunch of villagers dying, Amelia doesn't end up going back to the capital. This means that the events that happen at the beginning of Arc 3 don't actually happen in this timeline, and Amelia is no longer in the race for the throne. With Amelia no longer being a candidate, Roswell's mental state goes downhill and he stops doing anything. With Roswell depressed and useless, Puck decides that he can't rely on him for Amelia's protection. So when Subaru shows up with a plan to kidnap Amelia, Puck is very willing to join. And they don't tell Amelia anything about the actual plan. So they attack the mansion, get Amelia, and then lock her in a room in Pandemonium. The web novel calls her a bird in a cage, and I think that's pretty accurate. Subaru is far too paranoid to let her go out on her own. In fact, he doesn't even open the door until Hollybell leaves. He stands there and stares him down until he turns the corner, and then he goes in the room. Amelia's room is all white. The floor, the walls, the bed, her clothes, all of it. It's just missing the padding on the walls. Subaru comes here every 10-ish days, and they kind of talk, and then he sleeps on her lap. And it's pretty obvious that Subaru doesn't get a whole lot of sleep normally. Amelia has a lot of mixed feelings on her current life. She did have reasons for wanting to become the ruler, and those are now no longer possible. She was taken here without her even having a say in the matter. So on one hand, she is sad that her dreams are gone, and angry at Subaru for forcing her into this room without explaining anything. And on the other hand, she also knows that this is all for her protection. At this point, she is still trying to figure out her thoughts on the matter. For now, she lets Subaru come and rest while he's there. And it's this really weird relationship where they don't really talk all that much, but Subaru relies on her to take away the stress. After that, we get to see what happened to Frederica. She is now employed as the maid for Pleiades. She does a lot of the same things that she did back in Roswell's mansion, including cooking Subaru's food. Subaru will only eat his food if it's in his room, it's cooked by Frederica, she is the one that delivers it, and then she has to take a bite from every plate to show that it's not poison. And even then, he won't eat until she leaves. The other weird thing about this situation is that he always has enough food for two, even though he looks like he barely eats at all. And we'll get more on that later on. This particular time, she notices something on her way out. Spread out over the desk was a written list, holding the names of the organization's members. Placed next to that list, a golden coin could be seen. At that moment, having realized the meaning of that, Frederica could not hide the fear running down her back. She turns around to see the void, black eyes gazing at her. Her breath was robbed by that abyss. Subaru slowly approaches the desk and covers the unfolded list, and then flipped the gold coin. Heads. Having checked the side facing up, he smiled at her. It was heads, Frederica. Your brother and grandmother are safe. Get out, and don't come back until I say you may enter. At his words, Frederica nodded like a doll without speaking. She left the room as her cheeks were moistened by hot tears. Subaru is fucking cold, god damn. Also, this seems like a terrible idea. I know the entire point is for him to rule by fear, but if even working for him doesn't give any sort of safety, then I don't know, it just kind of feels like he's going to eventually piss somebody off and they're just going to kill him, but we'll get more on that later. After that, Cecilus receives a secret message from another Valachian general. Well, it's kind of secret. Hollybell is the world's #1 ninja, so he notices the general come in and tries to spy on their meeting. Cecilus notices him and calls him out whenever the other general leaves, which says a lot about his perceptiveness. Cecilus hasn't actually left the Empire. He is there on orders, which Hollybell already knew. So that's another reason that Cecilus is there. He's not very smart, he just kind of does as he's told. The Emperor of Wallachia wanted a spy in Pleiades, and Cecilus is that guy. We also learned why Holybell is there. After Subaru left Roswell's mansion, he ended up in Kararagi, and while he was there, he helped out with an incident that involved one of the Great Spirits. An incident that could have ended with a lot of people dying. And the details on that are in another If story. So we'll get those events another time, and they'll be slightly different than what would have happened in this story, but it'll be close enough. So anyway, for now, Cecilus relays the message that he got from the general. As the former Margrave's murder has surfaced, the kingdom is coming to destroy the organization in earnest. Timeframes aren't completely clear on this, but Lugunica just now found out about Roswell's death. And regardless of how much his status may have fallen, Roswell was still a lord and a very powerful magic user. The fact that Pleiades killed him and everything else that they've done has forced the kingdom to go after them. This is all going to be a guess on my part, but so far the Empire of Wallachia has a very strong spy in the group, so there's no reason for them to take a strong stance. Given how much money Subaru is making, the higher-ups in the city-states of Kararagi are probably profiting off of him, so they're also not in a position to make any big moves. Which just leaves the Kingdom of Gusteco and the Kingdom of Lugunica. And Lugunica is the one that's stepping up right now, so we're in the end game now. Some time later, a merchant shows up to make a connection with the group, and it's Otto. He isn't introduced until the third arc. So if you don't know who he is, for the purpose of this, all you really need to know is that he's a merchant. He doesn't really do a whole lot in this story. To be frank, not far off from now, we intend to do large-scale business here. These are the offerings from our side. We have heard that the leader desired these. He opens the chest, full of magic stones. As if affirming their utmost purity, the concentration of mana filling the room heightened. Subaru probably wants those magic stones for a certain person. That'll come up later. This comes from Russell Fellow. I see. Russell Fellow, is it? If any problems come up, Otto holds up his hand. At the sound of Subaru being cut off, the atmosphere fills with hostility. The guards around the room prepare for the order from the Purge King. Please wait. In truth, there's more to the offerings. Then I'm even more impressed. The tension in the room dissipates. Otto nods and continues. From the kingdom of Lugunica, this could be called the response to the Purge King's atrocities. White light swallows the room. In an instant, 18 of the guards, all the best of the best, disappeared before they even realized what was happening. With a single slash, 18 of the warriors were dead and the building was collapsing. The man who caused the destruction steps forward from the wreckage. Sword Saint, Reinhardt von Austria. Well, that's GG. Pack it in, ladies and gents. They are fucked. Let me put this into perspective in case you don't know Reinhardt's backstory. When he was 8 years old, he was so strong that they made it illegal for him to go to another country. It was considered an act of war for him to step over the border, and he's only gotten stronger since then. He is the strongest character in the story. The fact that he's here means that other countries have finally recognized Subaru as a national threat. Either that or Lugunica has decided that they'll risk war if it means that they can stop Subaru. Also, I'm pretty sure that Reinhardt can sense mana, or has some kind of blessing to do something similar. Which means that Otto bringing in the chest full of magic stones was probably the signal to Reinhardt that Subaru was actually there. At least that's my guess. You're not a cute opponent at all, you know that, right? Like a clap of thunder breaking through the smoke, a sword closes in on Reinhardt. He blocks the slash with the sheath of the holy sword, and with acrobatic movements, fires a strike of his own. At that, Cecilus lets out a whistle. Oh, I see you're still beyond the realm of humans. That makes me so happy, Reinhardt. I'm not very pleased about our reunion, Cecilus. It did not reach him. Reinhardt looks to the back of the room. Subaru sits on the throne, chin resting on his hand. Some secret power that was prepared in advance stopped the attack from hitting him. I saw your strike before at the loot house. To prepare for that's only natural. You've really drawn a poor lot, Reinhardt. Had you not helped me back then, it wouldn't have become a mess that it is now. But in that case, you wouldn't have met your precious master. Guess it didn't turn out too bad for you, did it? That's actually a pretty deep cut to Reinhardt there. The exact details don't come out until the third arc, but him helping Subaru in the first arc actually was a huge help to himself. And in this route, it actually led to Subaru becoming the Purge King. Naturally, it's not his fault, but Reinhardt has a bad habit of blaming himself for anything that he even remotely has his hands in. You know, with great power comes great responsibility and all that fun stuff. Pandemonium has some kind of magic circle or something in place. In addition to whatever stopped his first slash, there's also something that's interfering with divine protections. For Subaru, Hollybell, and Cecilus, it doesn't really seem to matter. I'm assuming it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference to the members of Pleiades either. But it does affect Reinhardt. Well, kind of. The author has stated that Reinhardt with his divine protections is the same strength as Reinhardt without the divine protections, but with the dragon sword. So he is weakened, but he's still super fucking strong. Suddenly, Subaru's expression disappears. What the hell? After all, you're black and white as well? Black and white? That is, shut up, you lying bastard. There's no way I'll let myself die to you. Cecilus, do what you want. I've already lost interest. Hollybell takes Subaru and they sink into the shadows. This will be explained more later. Wait, our talk is yet to be... A slash at overwhelming speed stops him in his tracks. I was waiting for this opportunity, a chance to cross swords with you. Cecilus, I've already fought with you before. That match was, to me, of great significance. Of course, if my body can wield a sword, we may only meet in a life or death match. Yes, this isn't their first fight, but that's a story for another time. Cecilus is wielding 2 of the 10 legendary swords. The Dream Sword, Mazayume, and the Fiend Sword, Murasame. Not to be outdone, Reinhardt takes out his own legendary sword, the Dragon Sword, Reid. For those who arrive at a certain realm, the way in front's gonna be blocked by a wall. That wall, which can't be surpassed no matter what, some will never overcome it and give up. Something like that, it's impossible for me. For if I don't cross that wall, I won't be able to be me. That's when the boss's offer arrived. He offered me a way to get past that wall. Well, it ended up being a way to cross swords with you with our lives on the line. If I can overcome one more step, I think I could reach it. Reach where? The heavenly sword, of course. Lightning, claps of thunder, tear through pandemonium. Droplets of blood danced. Alright, let's go over the heavenly sword. This is actually a title given to someone who has reached the pinnacle of swordsmanship, the best of the best. Reinhardt, even with the divine protection of the Sword Saint, still has not reached this level. In fact, only one person in history has ever reached this level. Reid Austria, the first Sword Saint. He is the only person to have ever reached that level of sword mastery, and that was 400 years ago. That is Cecilus' goal. A goal that Subaru said that he could help him out with, and here's the opportunity. Subaru expected Reinhardt to attack at some point, as evident by the magic or whatever it was that stopped Reinhardt's first slash. Also, quick trivia, the Dragon Sword Reid was Reid Austria's sword. He used it to kill so many dragons that it started to be called the Dragon Sword. And after that, it started to be passed down to each Sword Saint. And I guess now that I've said his name multiple times, I'm not completely sure how you're supposed to say it. In Japanese, it's Reido, but calling him Reid seems a little weird, so I'm going to stick with Reid. But Dragon Sword Reid does sound better than Dragon Sword Reid. No, I'm sticking with Reid. The attack on Pandemonium has started, and this is the beginning of the end. But you'll have to wait till next time to actually see the ending. That's it for now. See ya.